All right, let's go ahead and open up the doors. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Daily with Doc. This program, I'm excited to be able to bring empowering information that gives you options in your own life of what you can do to help guide your own health journey. So on this program, we are a resource to an amazing community. If you were invited by somebody specific, make sure that you get back with them. And if there was nobody that you have spoken to about Dr. Wallach or longevity or Pharmacist Ben or this Daily with Doc program, you are more than welcome to give our call team a call for questions and figuring out what exactly it is that's going to help you the most to get that health journey that you are looking for. So our number is 855-949-3377. Again, 855-949-7777. And if you have questions or would like to connect with us through email, go to our website, DailywithDoc.com. That's DailywithDoc, DOC.com, and look in the menu for that contact option, and you can send us an email there. And don't forget to sign up for our newsletter, as we do send out a mailing to your email address that shares with you the previous week's shows with descriptions to make it easier for you to share with others and help them also find information that you're not going to hear anywhere and everywhere. Because folks, let's face it, when the body's not getting what it needs, it's going to need some pharmaceuticals. And well, that's what they're going to make you think anyways. So why would they give you pharmaceuticals that then support the body so that you don't necessarily have to look at pharmaceuticals as being the only option? And I think today's program, we have the perfect person to have with us and share information about nutraceuticals, pharmaceuticals, and the human body. So I am super excited to be able to bring to the screen with me Pharmacist Ben Fuchs. Now, Pharmacist Ben Fuchs is a registered pharmacist. He's a natural pharmacist. He has experience not only in nutraceuticals, but also in the cosmetic world and creating things that go topically on your skin that nourish the body from the outside in, as the longevity products are nourishing the body. So he has many years of experience and is just a wealth of information that I'm so excited each and every time that we are able to have him on with us, whether it's Daily with Doc or Q&A with Pharmacist Ben. We are going to be having him every Friday, unless his schedule doesn't allow it, to share more information with us. So Pharmacist Ben, you have such an incredible journey as far as your career goes, where you started out, as many pharmacists do, working in a regular pharmacy at your big box stores. And through what you were seeing, you started making recommendations for supplements. So tell us just a quick, short little story at how you were told that maybe you weren't made out to be at that pharmacy.
You've heard my story before, I could tell. I've probably heard it a dozen times already. It's a cool story, right? So I started off my pharmacy school as a pharmacy student working in a laboratory. I worked at a skincare laboratory, as you may know, as a lab rat. It wasn't in pharmacies. Pharmacy students have to go work a certain amount of hours in drugstores. They call them internship hours to learn the pharmacy business. While all my colleagues were off getting their internship hours in drugstores, I was getting my internship hours in the laboratory, specifically in the Blistex lab. I was learning how to make products, topical skincare products. I was learning the art of formulation, a skincare formulation, which morphed into cosmetic formulation. And when I graduated pharmacy school, I didn't really know much about pharmacy, but I knew a lot about chemistry, and I knew a lot about the lab. Also, I was an athlete when I was younger, and back in the day when I was an athlete, we were obsessed with getting stronger and getting bigger and getting more adept at physical performance. So we would read the bodybuilding magazines and the weightlifting magazines. And in the bodybuilding magazines and weightlifting magazines, there's a lot of information, believe it or not, about nutrition to get bigger, performance, nutrition to recover more quickly. So I was becoming an expert in nutrition as an athlete, and I was becoming an expert in chemistry in the laboratory, all while I was not becoming an expert in pharmacy, not really understanding what pharmacy was from a practical perspective. I was understanding it from an academic perspective, but not from a practical perspective. And another thing that happened was in pharmacy school, a lot of folks don't realize this, but in pharmacy school, we study nutrition. Except we don't study nutrition like a dietitian or like a nutritionist studies nutrition, or like a doctor even studies nutrition. We study nutrition like a pharmacist, meaning we study the medicinal properties, the healing properties, the therapeutic properties of vitamins and minerals and amino acids and fatty acids. We study the relationship between the chemical structure of vitamins and amino acids and fatty acids and minerals, and how that connects to disease or how that connects to a therapy. We also study deficiency diseases as if they were nutritional deficiencies. So I was getting a real solid background in medicinal nutrition, in therapeutic nutrition, in practical nutrition as an athlete, as well as the laboratory in chemistry from working in the laboratory. I went out to work when I graduated pharmacy school. I was looking for a job, and the only job I could get, because I didn't really have any experience in the pharmacy, was at Kmart. So I was the Kmart pharmacist, and the Kmart pharmacy, I was horrified to see what people were actually doing with medicine. The people who were getting the drugs, I noticed that people were getting drugs and they weren't getting better. They would stay on the drugs for a lifetime, or little children would stay on drugs for lifetimes. Kids who were bedwetting would be put on antidepressants, or people who had chronic pain would be put on antidepressants, or people who had psoriasis would be put on powerful immune suppressant drugs. And I saw that there was a real problem, and I understood nutrition. I understood it from a practical standpoint. I understood it from a pharmacy school standpoint. So I started to suggest to people that they use nutritional supplements with their medications. So somebody would come in with eczema, and they would be prescribed a steroid cream, and I would say, hey, maybe you want some essential fatty acids with that steroid cream, knowing good and well that EFA deficiencies can cause things like eczema and dry skin and skin problems. Or they would come in for a calcium channel blocker drug for their heart, and I would say, hey, you know what, maybe you want some magnesium with that calcium channel blocker, knowing good and well magnesium has natural calcium channel blocking effects. And people come in for their antibiotics and say, maybe you want to take a little probiotics with your antibiotics, they're going to kill your bacteria, etc. So I would kind of suggest nutritional supplements for people with their medications, and lo and behold, people were starting to get better. They got better faster. Some of them got off their drugs, and some of them could reduce their dosage in drugs. I noticed that there was really something here, that we could really do a lot by using nutritional supplements. Now, keep in mind, this is 1986, and there weren't health food stores everywhere, and there wasn't a lot of knowledge about nutritional supplementation. It was still kind of weird if you took nutritional supplements, you were a health nut. Remember those days? You're a health nut, they call you, if you were using nutritional supplements. So people would get better. And in my 26-year-old cocky pharmacist brain, I was like, well, you know what? I think I'm going to start prescribing, instead of suggesting people take nutritional supplements with their prescriptions, I'm going to start suggesting they take nutritional supplements instead of their prescriptions. And so people would come in for their acne medicine. I'd say, zinc deficiency can cause acne. Maybe you want to ditch that prescription and take some zinc. Or people would come in with some kind of a viral infection or cold, and I say, you know what, vitamin C and zinc, those are natural immune boosters. Maybe you want to take those instead of your antibiotic, or instead of your cough suppressant, or whatever kind of indication or diagnosis that the doctor had given them. Well, needless to say, Kmart Pharmacy wasn't thrilled with Pharmacist Ben. And sure enough, one day, my district manager at Kmart, Ken Osier, I'll never forget him. He'll always be memorialized in my talks. And the security guy, that's never a good thing when the security guy comes in with them, and they come in, Ben, go on back, and they take me to the back room. They sit me down, and Mr. Osier says to me, Ben, you're just not cut out to be Kmart material. Just like that. And I thought that was the funniest thing I ever heard. Of course, it wasn't so funny because I got fired, I needed a job, etc. So what I ended up doing is I started my own pharmacy. And I started a pharmacy that specialized in skincare because that was my background, was skincare, and nutrition because my background was nutrition. And the State Board of Pharmacy would come and inspect me, and they wouldn't have any drugs in the pharmacy. It would all be nutrition. It would all be skincare. And as my concepts and as these ideas started to percolate in my brain, eventually I started to do little talks in my pharmacy. And the first couple times, there were only like 5 or 6 people. We sit around my table and we talk about nutrition. We talk about nutrition of the skin and what you can do for nutrition. Keep in mind, this is like the late 80s, early 90s. And it was very unusual to have somebody talk about nutrition in any case, but let alone a pharmacist who's supposed to do drugs, to talk about nutrition instead of drugs. And little by little, people started to come to my talks, and more people started. I started to have them in various halls in Boulder, occasionally in a hotel in Boulder, Colorado. And then in the course of events, one day I met Dr. Wallach, and Dr. Wallach and I hit it off. And next thing you know, I'm the pharmacist at Longevity. Longevity had began. And the rest, as they say, Rebecca Dukes, is history.
Well, I love that history, Pharmacist Ben. I really do love that history because that's how I met you. And being able to have you as a mentor and a friend has been absolutely incredible in my ability to help myself in my journey, and then take that blessing that I've received from taking your information, using it with the longevity products for the solutions, and then share it with others.
Yes. And I should say this. I meant to say this at the beginning, but I got sidetracked. What you're doing is wonderful, Rebecca. And I've known you now for probably, I don't know, 6, 7,
Almost
8 years. Yeah, almost 8 years, right? And you've been just consistent about wanting to spread the message in all the different ways. You've done it through talks and presentations and helping doc and doing the Zoom calls and now doing the podcast. So hats off to you. And really, Becca, that's what we're all about at Longevity. Is not selling products. Yeah, we got products. We got great products, really incredible products. And I've been taking the longevity products now for 26 years. I've been recommending them for just as long. But really, this is about information. It's about a message. It's about spreading the word that you have options. You do not have to be condemned to whatever the doctor tells you have to take. You have options. We're not told that we have options. We have powerful options that will actually restore the body back to its God-given health in a way that drugs can't do. And sometimes people will say to me, well, you're a pharmacist. How come you're not selling pharmaceuticals? What's going on with that? And I tell people, you know what? I'm in the medicine business. And the relationship between drugs and medicine is only 150 years old. The relationship between pharmaceuticals and medicine is only actually 60, that the drug companies started to sell drugs as medicine. Before that, herbs were medicine, plants were medicine, food was medicine. So this idea that medicine is pharmacology is a marketing scam. It's a profit-driven capitalistic endeavor that seeks to persuade people that the only medicine is pharmaceuticals. And I'm here to tell you that's not true. That's a lie. There is powerful, powerful medicine that throughout history, even going back to Hippocrates, in the year 100 or even 100 BC, where he said, let food be thy medicine and let medicine be thy food. This idea that pharmaceuticals are the only way we can medicate the body is not fair, and it's not accurate. And we have to get it through our heads that while there are times that you need pharmaceuticals, purposes, chronic pain and antibiotics perhaps, for the most part, there's not a single prescription drug that you can be on that without the goal of getting off of it. In other words, if you're on a prescription drug, chronic and long-term, your number one health goal should be to figure out how to get off of that prescription drug. And while maybe a prescription drug may be a Band-Aid for you and they maybe help you in the short term, in the long term, not only, this is very important what I'm going to say here, not only is it going to inevitably result in toxicities and side effects. There's no way it can avoid that, even if they're subtle and you don't notice it, and ultimately shorten your life if you're on it long enough. But even worse, this is something that nobody ever talks about, and you don't ever see in the package insert or in the PDR, the physician's desk reference. When you take a pharmaceutical drug, your body treats that as a poison. Whether you think it's good for you or not, or whether the doctor says it's okay, or the FDA approves it, your body still treats it as a poison. It's precious and sometimes scarce nutritional resources to detoxify that substance. So every drug you take costs you vitamin C, costs you zinc, costs you magnesium, costs you copper, and ironically, those nutritional deficiencies can cause toxicities that will lead to effects that you're taking the drugs to solve. So you take, for example, a statin drug because it's supposedly good for your cardiovascular system. It deprives your body of coenzyme Q10, which you need for your cardiovascular system. So the irony of drugs is they cost us essential nutrients in the detoxification process that can lead to the very same problems that you took the drugs to solve in the first place. And nobody talks about this. So if you're on a prescription drug, and obviously there's a lot of Americans are on at least one prescription drug, and 30 or 40% are on multiple prescription drugs. If you're on a prescription drug, as I say, your number one health challenge should be to figure out how to get off that prescription drug. And we can help you do that, by the way. And then number two, if you're on a prescription drug, it is incumbent upon you. It is not an option. It's a must. If you're interested in maintaining your longevity and good health, that you get on the Healthy Start pack. Sometimes people will say, or whatever longevity products that can fit your indication. It's sometimes people say to me, well, I'm taking drugs, I don't need nutritional supplements, or I've seen the doctor, I don't need nutritional supplements. No, it's the opposite. The more prescription drugs you're taking, the worse your lifestyle choices are. If you're smoking cigarettes, if you're drinking alcohol, if you're doing illegal drugs, if you're not sleeping enough, if you're under a lot of stress, the more you need the Healthy Start pack. The more you need the Beyond Tangerine and the Ultimate EFAs and the Osteo FX. So if they want to maintain their health, number one, figure out how to get off that darn prescription drug. And that means really take care of the problem, because prescription drugs don't take care of any problems, period. They take care of symptoms. They don't take care of any health challenges, I should say. They don't heal. This is another myth that we have, is that prescription drugs somehow heal us. They do not heal us. They hide symptoms. So if you're on a prescription drug, your number one health challenge should be to figure out what the real problem is, so you can eliminate the problem for reals and then eliminate the prescription drug. And then number two, if you're on a prescription drug, get on a nutritional supplement program. Not only will it help your drugs work better, it will help. Let me say that again, because that's really important. Not only will a nutritional supplementation help your drugs work better, more effectively, but you'll likely be able to lower your dose of your prescription drugs. And eventually, if you do it correctly and with the right guidance and with the right strategy, you'll probably be able to completely eliminate the prescription drug.
Mention something that the body handles it as a poison. Okay. And I remember going years and years of not being able to take pharmaceuticals because of the reaction that I got from them. Yet I was having all of these different issues go on within my body that pushed me to look towards herbalism and herbs as medicine, which it kind of got me started on this whole journey of looking at alternative options, because I didn't think there were any other options. Right. I mean, I was stuck in being pushed off to pain management.
That's right.
With so many different issues, because I couldn't take the pharmaceutical drug that they would recommend for that because of an allergic reaction, which some of them were pretty severe. So I look now back thinking, what a blessing that I couldn't take that poison.
Right. Your body rejected it. And we have a poison control system in our body. It's housed in the liver, and it is incredibly complex, and it is so sophisticated that it can modify itself to attack and detoxify chemicals it's never seen before. And that's how sophisticated this detoxification system is. It's housed in the liver. And by the way, some 30% or more at this point, maybe almost 40% of Americans have something called non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, or NAFLD. And those are people who are going to have extra problems detoxifying their drugs. So yes, we want to start to regard these drugs as poisons. And while, as I said, there are some times that they're necessary. And I always tell people, and sometimes I get in trouble for saying this, you want to keep pain pills in your medicine cabinet. You know, we have a big pain pill problem, and so everybody has now gone the other way on pain pills. But let me tell you something: if you're in chronic pain, if you're in acute pain, pain pills can be a lifesaver. You know, so you want to have pain pills, and antibiotics obviously can be a lifesaver. But we know pain pills have their own problems associated with them, and so do antibiotics. So even antibiotics and pain pills, which are sometimes necessary, have to be treated very with great care. Have to be taken with great care, and the whole concept of using them has to be treated with great care. That being said, prescription drugs inevitably are going to tax the poison control system, phase 1 and phase 2 detoxification in the liver, and it will especially tax the detoxification system and the liver if you're dealing with some kind of metabolic issue, i.e. metabolic syndrome or non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, which, as I say, millions, maybe over 100 million Americans are dealing with. And the key word here, Rebecca, and this is very important, the key word is options, choices. What we're doing here with longevity, what you're doing, Rebecca, what Dr. Wallach's been doing for decades, what I'm doing, what everybody who's involved with longevity is doing is offering people choices. There's no doctor says, well, you can take vitamin C for your cardiovascular system, or you can take this calcium channel blocker. They laugh at that. They think it's a joke. They marginalize that. They dismiss that as if it's silliness. It's not silliness, because not only does vitamin C and magnesium and calcium take care of the specific health challenge that you're dealing with, this is really important here, Rebecca. Not only do these nutritional supplements take care of the specific health challenge that you're dealing with, whether it's an autoimmune problem or a cardiovascular problem or whatever health, skin problem, whatever health issue it is, but with nutritional supplementation, instead of side effects, you get beneficial effects. You get extra effects. You take magnesium for your heart, which is a natural calcium channel blocker, as I said earlier, and you sleep better. And you have better blood sugar control, and you have better detoxification. You take vitamin C for your immune system, and you have better joints, healthier blood vessels. You have better looking skin. What if I told you, Rebecca, that there was a drug, a new prescription drug that came out on the market, and not only would it help you with your vitamins, will help you with your cardiovascular system, but it will also help you with your skin. It would also help you with your liver. It would also help you with your joints. It would have a beneficial, in biochemistry we say pleiotropic beneficial effects. That means multifunctional beneficial effects. It would cost you pennies a day, and it would be completely non-toxic, and it would help you with your heart disease if you took it for. Would you say, I'm going to buy stock in that drug company? That's a drug. That's an amazing drug company. I want to know what drug is that? Well, of course, it's vitamin C, and the same thing is true about copper and magnesium and calcium and vitamin E and A and all the other what Doc calls the mighty 90 essential nutrients. And that's very important. Essential. These are not optional choices that you can take. They may be optional compared to a drug when it comes to treating your specific health challenge, but they're not optional when it comes to living. Means, oh, you have to have it, your body can't make it. That's not how I define the word essential. I say essentials like air. What happens if you don't have air? You die. That's what happens if you don't have an essential nutrient. Eventually you die. But even more insidious, sometimes people take just enough to keep them alive. And you know what we call the levels? The government has a term for the levels that are just enough to keep you alive. The amount of vitamin C that you need that's just enough to keep you alive. Or the amount of calcium that you need that's just enough to keep you alive. Or the amount of vitamin A that's just enough to keep you alive. You know what they call that?
RDA.
Yes. And what does that stand for?
Recommended daily allowance is what they say it's for.
What do I say it stands for? The ridiculous deficiency allowance. It's there to keep us ridiculously deprived. You know, the medical, and God love them. I have no problem with doctors personally, because I have a lot of friends who are physicians, and by and large, they're really good people. A little arrogant sometimes, but they're good people. They got in the business to help and to change lives and to really make a difference in people's at the most fundamental level where people live, which is in terms of their health. They really do have good intentions, but the medical model is not there to keep you thriving. This is very important, Rebecca, and everybody listening. The medical model is not supposed to keep you thriving. It's supposed to keep you alive. Their criteria for success is, are you alive? Not do you feel great? Not do you have boundless energy? Not do you have joie de vivre? Not is your skin glowing and radiant? Not do you have the wherewithal to throw your grandkids up in the air and catch them and pick them up, or to stand up out of a bent position, or just to have this amazing quality of life. That's not their criteria for success. Their criteria for success is just to keep you alive. So they're going to do it, but we have to understand they're not there for our health. They're just there to keep us from dying. So for our health, that's the rule. That's the role of a good diet. That's the role of nutritional supplementation. That's the role of exercise. That's the role of meditation. That's the role of breathing correctly. That's the role of being connected to God or spirituality and having good thoughts and having solid emotions. That's the role of all the things we call lifestyle choices. It's our lifestyle choices that will allow us to thrive and to be thrilled to be alive and to be in this beautiful biological system that we call the human body. A drug isn't going to do that. A surgical procedure isn't going to do that. A medical protocol isn't going to do that. That's the role of our lifestyle choices. And in my opinion, the most important of these lifestyle choices is a good basic nutritional supplement program.
Well, I am going to go back to October 2016, I believe it is, and find that picture of when we did our very first presentation where I hosted you in the Phoenix area. I'm going to get a picture of what we both looked like back then.
Oh, no.
And then
oh, no.
on November 11th, you are going to be in Huntington Beach, California.
Right.
And it is my goal to be there as well, so that we can get some updated pictures and then be able to do side by sides to show the difference.
All right.
You look very similar. I mean, you've been able to maintain. I look like a totally different person.
Yeah, you lost a bunch of weight, huh?
I lost 100 pounds and my hair now looks like it has life, and my skin is not red, and
that's awesome, Rebecca. That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's
it's
awesome.
amazing.
And the conventions anymore, I hope we do them again, but when we used to go to the conventions, I know you went to a couple of them, all the stories you would hear, they were just so unbelievably inspiring. People who would lose 150 pounds, 200 pounds, people would be on 10 or 12 or 15 medications, completely off their medications. People who, like you say, all of a sudden they had this energy and this joie de vivre, this joy for being alive that they didn't even know was possible, let alone didn't even know it was possible to have that kind of energy. And we saw at the conventions, we would see these people and listen to these people's stories, countless, dozens and dozens and dozens of stories at every convention. And that is what's possible once you get on the Healthy Start Pack. Once you start to follow some of these protocols that we're talking about, we are leaving health on the table. We are leaving our God-given joy for living on the table because we're not taking advantage of all of these wonderful tools that longevity has, that we can just, it doesn't even cost us anything, really. I mean, nutritional supplementation might cost you something, but breathing doesn't, exercise doesn't, thinking good thoughts doesn't, meditation doesn't. There's so many ways that we can improve our lives that nobody's telling us about. I believe nutritional supplementation is the key to the whole recovery machinery for whatever anybody is dealing with. But there's tons of different ways that we can incorporate health into our lives.
Yes, there is. And I am so thankful that I found it. And that's why I want to make sure that others are finding this option also. Because folks, when you go to the doctor and they run all these tests and they can't find out what's wrong with you, or they do find out what's wrong with you, and all they want to do is throw a pharmaceutical at you. And then when your body reacts negatively to that pharmaceutical, they throw another one to counteract the response that the body's giving. It just doesn't make any sense to throw more and more poison at the body. And that's why I love having pharmaceuticals shed so much light to this topic that is easy to understand. And then that light switch goes on. It's like, that just makes so much sense. And it did for me. So I'm hoping, folks, that you share this program with others. There's so many people out there that think that pharmaceuticals are the only option, the only way to be able to have good health. Well, we're not chemical deficient, we're nutrient deficient. When we've got breakdown going on in the body, you know, the body wasn't designed to just continually break down, especially on the expedient path that people's bodies are breaking down. I was 8 years old when I started having those symptoms of osteoporosis but the body can do amazing things when it's given the right stuff. And that's what this program is all about, is being able to share that there are options. Now, Pharmacist Ben, when we were discussing the topic of today, which this I think leads into it a little bit, the appendix. So I have a client, okay? She had her appendix removed. She's also had her gallbladder removed. But we talk a lot about the gallbladder, but we don't talk a whole lot about the appendix and the appendix's function within the body. Can you share with us a little bit about why God put that appendix there and what its purpose is?
Oh, you don't need that silly appendix. You don't. That's a silly little structure. You don't need that. No, I'm just kidding. Obviously, every part of.
I had mine taken.
I know, because you don't need it. Of course. Well, they used to call it a vestige, meaning it was just some kind of vessel. Like it didn't belong there. It was just something that in there from our evolutionary past. Well, it turns out the appendix is a warehouse of bacteria. It's a storehouse for our probiotics, for our good bacteria. This is why having your appendix burst can be such a problem, because all of a sudden you have all these bacteria throughout your body. It can cause severe septicemia and blood toxicity. So the appendix plays a very, very important role in the digestive process, and it's not unusual for people to have their gallbladder and their appendix removed. And by the way, the gallbladder is another one of those organs that they tell you you don't need. If anybody is out there listening and somebody's telling them that they need to have their gallbladder removed and they'll feel better when their gallbladder is removed, and there's no need for their gallbladder and they can live just fine without one, don't walk out of that doctor's office. Run out of that doctor's office, and don't even pay attention to the single word that doctor tells you, because the mix, which are two of the more commonly removed organs, along with the female reproductive system organs, are incredibly important for overall health. Appendix in terms of helping us process food via the bacteria that it stores, and the gallbladder via the bile that is stored in that it stores in order to help us process our fats, digest our fats, and detoxify our blood. So both the gallbladder and the intestine and the female reproductive system, organs of the female reproductive system, are the most commonly removed organs in the body, and they're all critically important. God did not put any extras in there. There's nothing in there that's not necessary for a full and long and healthy life. Don't let anybody tell you any different. Yeah, you can survive without an appendix and you can survive without a gallbladder, but remember, their criteria is keeping you alive. It's not keeping you thriving. So if you want to thrive, keep all your organs. Now, as far as the gallbladder goes, which is to me, it's a little bit more interesting, bacteria, and it's very important for the digestive system. Sometimes you need to have your appendix taken out if it bursts, that can cause a big problem. But the gallbladder is removed unnecessarily most of the time. And I say unnecessarily because while somebody who has gallstone pain or has gallbladder pain, they may think, I just want to get out of that pain. And I understand that. That makes a lot of sense. What really should be considered is what is causing the gallbladder pain? Why do they have that kind of pain? What is going on? Why are stones being formed? And always, you're going to find that, as I've said so many times before, all disease is cell disease, and all cell disease is preceded by dirty blood. Gallbladder issues and stone formation, whether it's gallstones or whether it's kidney stones or whether it's bladder stones or whether it's tear duct stones, whatever kind of stones you have, are the manifestation of dirty blood. They're materials that are precipitating out of the blood, much like if salt in it, the salt will dissolve in the water, right? But if you put a second teaspoon in, salt will probably dissolve in the water, and a third teaspoon in, the salt will dissolve in the water. and maybe a fourth teaspoonful, but eventually you're going to reach a point where the salt doesn't go into the water anymore. It precipitates out because the water cannot handle any more salt. Well, that's how a stone forms. A stone is when the blood cannot handle any more toxicity. The blood cannot handle any more solid material. It can handle a certain amount, and then all of a sudden, a stone, you have too much, and a stone forms. So people who have gallstones, chronic gallstones, are chronically or have chronically dirty blood. And how do you get dirty blood? How do you get dirty blood? Well, you get dirty blood for only from two ways. How does the blood become contaminated? It can be contaminated through the skin if you inject things. And that's true that people who inject drugs, drug addict, crack or meth or whatever they're doing, they will have a lot of the same health challenges that people who have chronic diseases have. In fact, they'll have them at an accelerated pace because they're sticking stuff right in the blood. But for most of us, we're not doing that. For most of us, our dirty blood is coming in through the intestine, secondary to what's called leaky gut, which itself is secondary to something called SIBO. And, we've talked about leaky gut, we've talked about SIBO a lot on our calls, but you can rest assured if you have a gallbladder issue, or for that matter, if you have an autoimmune issue, or for that matter, if you have chronic UTIs, or for that matter, if you have accelerated aging, or for that matter, if you have osteoporosis or cancer or heart disease or diabetes or any health challenge, you can rest assured stuff is getting into your blood, causing this condition that I call dirty blood or stagnant blood or sludgy blood, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, you can have your gallbladder taken out and you won't have gallbladder pain. Obviously, you don't have a gallbladder anymore, but you're not going to solve the problem of the dirty blood. You're still going to be having the same intestinal issues. You're still going to have the leaky gut and the SIBO, and that's going to cause other health challenges down the road. And without a gallbladder, you're going to be severely compromised at the level of the intestine because you're not going to be able to put as much bile into your foods to help break down your foods. And by the way, nobody talks about this. Bile is your major detoxifying fluid. It's like your STP engine fluid that cleans out your engine. Without bile, you're going to have a problem detoxifying drugs. You're going to have a problem detoxifying food allergens. You're going to have a problem detoxifying hormones. So without a gallbladder, you're at risk for poor digestion, malabsorption of nutrients, problems with detoxification, intestinal health issues, digestive health issues, all the complete spectrum of digestive health issues, not to mention skin problems and joint problems and cardiovascular problems because of malabsorption or poor absorption of it's craziness, all because nobody stopped to figure out, why am I forming stones? And that really should be the question that we need to ask. And by the way, we need to ask that. The doctor doesn't need to ask that. It makes me it kind of bothers me a little bit when people say, well, my doctor didn't tell me that, or why did my doctor do that? Well, that's not his job. That's our job. We can't abdicate good health. One of the most beautiful things about longevity is it allows us to be our own health authorities. We cannot outsource our health. We cannot outsource responsibility for our health, but we do that and we blame the doctor and we say he should have told us that. Why didn't he do that? Why didn't he tell me this? Or how could he do this to me? Or how could he put me on this prescription drug? Listen, the job of a doctor is to take care of acute problems, like if a rock falls on your head, or God forbid, or something traumatic happens to you. That's the job of a doctor, and they do great at it. We call that in pharmacy school, we used to call that heroic medicine. And heroic medicine, praise God, it is the most amazing thing. The things that they can stitch back on your body. You ever hear this guy, James Bobbitt?
Oh,
right?
goodness.
Remember James Bobbitt? Right? Okay. The things they can put back on your body are absolutely amazing, right? You know what I'm talking about. They can repair your heart. They can put a new kidney in. They can replace your liver. They can do all kinds of things. They even do face transplants now. There's all kinds of stuff that people can do, that the medical model can do. But when it comes to chronic disease, they get an F. They get an A for heroic medicine, but they get an F for ambulatory medicine. But that's not their job. If you go to a plumber and you say, hey, my car engine's messed up, will you fix my car engine? He's going to try to take his plumbing tools, his roto-rooter tools, and whatever tools plumbers have, he's going to try to fix your engine with it, because that's the tools he uses, your car engine. You don't go to a carpenter to fix your electrical system in your house. You got to go to the right practitioners. A plumber is going to use plumbing tools. An electrician is going to use electrician tools. A mechanic is going to use mechanic tools, and a doctor is going to use doctor tools. What are doctor tools? A scalpel and drugs. And so if you go to a doctor, you're going to get a scalpel. You're going to get treated with a scalpel and drugs, because that's what they do. It's not their fault. That's their job. And it's a great job that they do. It's our job to use nutritional supplements. It's our job to exercise. It's our job to breathe correctly. It's our job to do all the lifestyle things that we know we have to do to stay healthy. You can't outsource it.
That's right. And that's what I love the most about the Institute of Holistic Health and their certified holistic health coach course that teaches you about what Pharmacist Ben is talking about. And folks, you don't have to be a health course. You can take it as an individual just wanting to help yourself. You can get more information about that certified holistic health coach course at coachwithbecca.com. That is coachwithbecca.com. Now back to the appendix. So Erica, she's got skin itching, she's got scalp issues with
Is this
scabs.
after the appendix,
scalp.
Rebecca? Is this after the appendix was removed?
So this is after the appendix removed.
Yeah.
She's also had her gallbladder removed. She's had an ovary removed because of that C word. But her hair is falling out, her teeth hurt, and she feels that it's accelerated decaying, even though she brushes a lot. She keeps going to the doctor. They keep wanting to give her creams and shampoo. We're coming back.
Okay. Well, listen, this is a horrific situation, and I would like to talk to her. So hook me up with her, and we'll talk to her personally. But just so people can understand what's happening, she's malnourished. All of her organs of nutritional, or not all of them, but some of her organs of nutritional absorption, her gallbladder and her appendix, or that are involved with nutritional absorption, are missing. Now, if she's not supplementing, she's probably not supplementing, or if she is, she's not doing it correctly. She's going to be deficient in vitamin A. She's going to be deficient in essential fatty acids. She's going to be deficient in phytonutrients, plant nutrients, all of which are processed by the fat system of the body, the fat processing system of the body, which is the bile and the probiotics in the intestine. So she should be, as soon as possible, because sounds like this is happening at an accelerated pace, as soon as possible, she should be focusing on her fat processing fat-soluble nutrients, and that is things like DEA and K, all of which can cause deficiencies and all of which can cause those problems that you're talking about, as well as essential fatty acids. In fact, just the ultimate EFAs can change your life, just the ultimate EFAs. However, she's also going to need to use nutrients to help her body absorb those fatty nutrients that she's going to take. So things like the ultimate enzymes, for example, which contain bile salts in them. Also, the nightly essence probiotics, also the daily digest. In fact, longevity, and this is one of the greatest things about longevity, there's a lot of great things that Dr. Wallach has come up with, but one of the most standout parts of health that longevity addresses is the fats and digestion. And we have, I don't know, 10 or 12 products, maybe even more now, that are support the fat and support the digestive system. We have wonderful health experts that know the digestive system inside out, including myself and Dr. Wallach and Dr. Joanne Conway, who has written books on digestive health and understands how the digestive system works inside and out. Much. We have wonderful healthcare professionals that address the digestive system. We have wonderful products that address the digestive system, and this gal needs these digestive products, this digestive wisdom immediately, not tomorrow, today. So if you want some, for people who are listening, if you want to know what to do in a case like this, is focus on fats, especially the ultimate EFAs, focus on fatty vitamins. You'll get all those in the Healthy Start Pack. Focus on fat absorption and fat digestion with the ultimate enzymes and the ultimate microbiome and the daily digest and the I-26, by the way, which is another incredible product that we don't talk anywhere near enough about for the intestine. Her problems are digestive, and this is not unusual. As you know, I came up with a triangle of disease to describe or to define how the digestive system is the first part of the body that breaks down when it comes to the sequential way that degenerative diseases show up. The first part of the body that breaks down is going to be the digestive system, and the first part of the body that you want to focus on is going to, because that's how we absorb our nutrients. And number two, because once the digestive system breaks down, toxicity enters into the bloodstream, and you end up with this vicious downward spiral of malnutrition and toxicity, where toxicity leads to malnutrition, which leads to more toxicity, which leads to more malnutrition, and on you go. Ultimately, eventually, the blood sugar system becomes involved, and then the adrenal thyroid system becomes involved, and from there, you're off to the chronic disease races. But it all starts off with the intestine, the small intestine specifically. The small intestine is right in the center of your body, right where your belly button is. And that small intestine is the crux of everything, because that is where the outside world meets the inside world. That is where the world of our environment meets the world of our internal biology and biochemistry. So it makes perfect sense that that intestine is going to be the nexus of disease as well as the nexus of health. So the chronic degenerative disease. Focus on intestinal. When I say digestive health, I mean focus on intestinal health. But of course, upstream from the intestine, you have the stomach, and that's very important. Low stomach acid plays a role in poor intestinal functioning. So working with, make sure you're acidifying the contents of your stomach. Even chewing your food can help you with intestinal health, just chewing, not to mention the pancreas and the gallbladder, which are all upstream from the intestine as well. So small intestinal, work on the small intestine, all the structures upstream. This gal needs to do it today, but all of us need to do it. All of us need to do it, whether we're healthy or not, but especially if we're dealing with some kind of chronic long-term health challenge. You're not going to be able to repair, to fix, to correct cancer, heart disease, autoimmune issues, neurological problems, skin problems, all the chronic health challenges that we're dealing with without first focusing on the digestive system and then the blood sugar system.
Absolutely. And fortunately, she had some of these things at home, and we got started last night. So
nice. If she ever wants to reach out to me, I'm happy to do a three-way with Rebecca. And by the way, Rebecca, I know you know this, and I've done these with you, but for everybody listening, I'm happy to do three-way calls. I'm happy to help people, and I love, especially love talking to healthcare professionals, whether they're doctors or dentists or veterinarians or Reiki masters or massage therapists or rolfers or whatever that is, because healthcare professionals really get this. And while people out there who maybe aren't steeped in healthcare biology or biochemistry may think, well, my doctor didn't tell me that. I don't know if that's really true. And that's not what it said in the newspaper. And I read this article that said that vitamins are a waste of time, blah, blah, blah. Well, when I talk to a healthcare professional, there is no way that they can deny what I'm saying to everybody out there. The things that I've just talked about for the last 50 minutes or so, there's not a single syllable that a healthcare professional, that a PhD, that a doctor, a public health official, a doctor who's a public health official can disagree with or can say is wrong. Everything I've just talked about, everything I always talk about, everything Dr. Wallach talks about, and everything that we talk about in longevity meets the most rigorous standards of research, of academia, and of biochemical logic.
Yes. And I love that, because I am kind of anal in some ways. But I love the fact that they do go to such great strides to make sure that everything is top notch and not substandard. So that's fantastic. Well, let's try to get a couple questions in. So,
okay, I'm going to run out of batteries here, so I'm going to. If I cut out, I cut out.
All right, we're going to try to get this quick. So,
okay.
AJ, unmute yourself. Question for you.
Hey Ben, how are you?
What's up, AJ? How you doing, brother?
Doing well, doing well. Good to see you. Thanks for your amazing knowledge that you're sharing with us. I got a couple questions. I'm going to try and be quick for your battery's sake. I have one of our health coaches has a client who is dealing with white stool, formerly had some kidney stones. I thought that might be relevant to mention. And what can we do about this person with the white stool? What do you think may be going on?
Do you know this person at all?
I don't know the person.
Okay, so typically the color of a stool, the standard color of a stool is bile. That brown color that we all know so well, that's bile. And
Uh-oh. I think we lost him. Okay, so the brown color is bile. What makes bile, folks? The gallbladder.
Gallbladder.
So if the gallbladder is not functioning properly, then the color of your poo is not going to be the right color either. So unfortunately, we have lost Pharmacist Ben as his phone has died, but we will be having him back every Friday, folks. Unless his schedule does not allow, we will be having Pharmacist Ben here on Daily with Doc with us on Fridays. So make sure that you mark your calendars and be ready to ask your questions. And I'll even talk to him about leaving a little more time for questions and making sure that his battery is charged. So as we're looking through, Deborah, did you have a question that maybe we could get in?
Well, I had two questions, but one of them is the idea that I've had my gallbladder out before I knew all of this. I've had a full hysterectomy with ovaries and everything out, and I am really struggling with how to balance my body. You know, even with taking the 90, it's like knowing exactly, you know, what I need to take to replace what I've lost with the organs being removed.
And that is something that so many people, unfortunately, are dealing with.
That's right. Yeah.
So I think that's going to be a show all in itself, my dear. Seriously. So I'm going to write that down. We will address that next Friday.
Okay.
So having no gallbladder, having issues that require full hysterectomy, including the ovaries, you said as well, right?
That's correct. So hormones.
Which is up the whole hormonal system. And we're looking at somebody that retired from the medical field.
Yes.
And even taught other medical professionals. And she has come over to our side and looking at what she can do naturally now to help people so they don't have to go through what she has gone through.
Yes, absolutely. Stop taking organs out.
That's right.
Just to literally save your life at that moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're definitely going to be circling back on this, folks, and looking at the gallbladder, looking at hormones and the things that, again, God didn't put things here as extras.
No.
They didn't evolve for no reason. They were put by the Creator with divine design so that the body can fully function.
Yes.
Well,
yes.
Deborah, thank you for giving us the topic for next week.
You're welcome.
So I'll give him some time to really put something together that really addresses that, because I know there's a lot of people that are dealing with what you have mentioned. So, yes, thank you, my dear.
You're welcome.
And folks, we have come to the end of our show. Thank you so much for joining us here. I know there were questions that we did not get answered. And somebody just said somebody's hand was up, but I don't see it up. But
Dr. Judy is waving her hand at you.
Oh, Dr. Judy. Let's get you unmuted.
Thank you. Yeah, I couldn't unmute and I couldn't find the hand thing comment. Our liver makes the bile, and that's pretty standard across all types of animals. Animals that eat meals, like people, have a gallbladder, and the gallbladder stores bile as it's trickled in, and then certain things like hormones tell it, oh, we're eating a meal, we need a bunch of bile. We're eating fat, we need bile, and the bile squeezes And so that bile is there to help with that meal. And so as people, yes, we lost that storage space, but we didn't lose all the bile. It's just trickling in and there isn't enough of it. So that's what happens. But another example, in a horse, they're a grazing animal. They graze all day long. They have no gallbladder at all. They don't even have one. Make sense? Yeah. So we can lose our gallbladder. I had mine out, again, not knowing a lot of this stuff. But that's why we can, we do have some bile, but it's not enough when we eat a big meal, especially of fat. So definitely the longevity products, a way to get more bile in, doing the enzymes and doing the other things, that's a huge deal. But I just wanted to clarify that it's not the gallbladder that makes the bile.
And I just want to thank you, Dr. Judy, for clarifying that, and also announce that we will be having Dr. Judy as one of our guests on November 1st and also November 8th. So folks, you're in for a real treat as Dr. Judy brings her wisdom, going through school for, veterinary medicine, but she had to learn about the whole human body in the process, and then taking that and using her knowledge at the top animal level, folks. And now she's bringing it to us as well. So I'm excited. Thank you so much for waving your hand. I didn't see the digital hand. Go ahead. And I have somebody wanting to ask a question of you as well. So let me get her question up here while you're going on.
One other thing I was just going to say is for November 1st, I've got some really exciting breaking news in the health industry. It's going to be awesome. Things are happening all the time, but recently some big things have happened that are going to help us out. So, and I'll give you a little hint. It has to do with treatment of depression, things like that. They've started to realize some things that people have been doing that really haven't worked very well, and it ties into nutrition for us. So that'll be November 1st, and then we'll see what happens after that.
All right. Well, I'm going to bring Susan on go ahead and unmute, and she has a question for you, Dr. Judy.
Hi, Susan.
Hi, Dr. Judy. Hi, everyone. I haven't been on these calls very often, so I'm excited to be joining you all. My question is, and I hope it's not too complicated, but I do work with a number of people from time to time, and maybe you all run into this, that have some kidney.
Oops.
Is over internationally. And so I've had them on a protocol, with the 90 essentials, and the roto-rootering supplements that Dr. Wallach recommends, the niacin plus. I do the heart support, the kidney and bladder support. But once he's only been on the program maybe a month and a half, but his creatinine numbers and his urea serum and uric acid have significantly increased. I'm not exactly sure what to suggest. Unless I didn't ask him because I'm working with a naturopathic doctor over in a different country. And I don't know, maybe he stopped taking things like maybe phosphorus binders or whatever. I don't know what to suggest. And are those really critical markers? I've heard kind of controversial stories on that. Do you have anybody, any suggestions?
Not really my area of expertise. The biggest thing I think, and it seems like you've gathered that from what Dr. Wallach says all the time, is that usually when people have kidney problems, it's really the blood vessels going into the kidneys that are the problem. And it sounds like you've jumped in on that. And usually I think what Doc would do is say he'd want to see the reports. He'd want to see some of that and kind of go through that more, in more detail. Yeah, you'd have to do that in a little more detail. So sorry, I can't.
Well, thanks for trying anyway.
Sure.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, sure.
All right, Susan, and we will work on getting you an answer for that as well.
Yep.
Well, thank you so much. I can send that to you if you want.
Yes, please.
medical thing. Okay, well,
Yes,
thanks so
send
much.
that to me,
Appreciate
please.
that. Thanks,
Thank you,
Becca.
Susan. All right. And thank you, Dr. Judy.
You're
Jill, did
welcome.
you have a question for Dr. Judy? Try now.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Hi, Jill.
Hi. My question isn't for Dr. Judy. It's kind of in response to the lady before this. I had that happen with a client I was working with as well. I do think Dr. Judy, in her expertise there, gave the right answer. But Becca, I'll remind you that the protocol says it is the original beyond tangy tangerine when you're dealing with somebody. So I don't know which one that person is taking or not, but my client had problems with the peach citrus. And then we also looked closer at the diet. And in his case, he had traveled out of town, maybe partook in some things that he shouldn't be partaking in because he was out of his routine, out of where he normally was. People are very quick to diet is often the problem. And then the other thing is that exercise, Pharmacist Ben had given me this answer before on uric acid, that exercise actually creates a lot of it. So if it's somebody who actually exercises a lot, that can have an impact too.
All right. Thank you so much for bringing up those points. Definitely very valid things to think about, folks. If you are dealing with high levels of uric acid that are causing issues within the body, too much exercise could do it as well. So thank you so much for that. Donna's wanting to know, where is Doc? Well, Doc has been pushing hard for decades, and he has earned himself a little bit of a vacation to take some self-care and regenerate or what is it? It's not revive, it's not regenerate.
Rejuvenate. He needs to
Thank
take
you.
a break and relax and rest his body and his mind and
just take some time off. He's been going hard. He's earned it. But no, Doc is doing well. So just don't want anybody to stress about that. He will be back with us as soon as his family says he's taken enough time for himself. Let's put him back to work. So if I could get my guests or my co-hosts on the line with me, that would be absolutely fantastic. And AJ, are you raising your hand, and why? Go ahead. Just, you know how to spotlight yourself. Go ahead.
No, there's a woman on YouTube just asking about a friend of hers doesn't want to get pregnant anymore and wondering if there were natural alternatives. She didn't want to get her tubes tied. That maybe you can ask it another day, I guess.
Yeah, we'll have to have that as a topic for another day. Yeah. So, but that's a great question, because there's a lot of people that are, not wanting to go the allopathic way when it comes to family planning type things. So great question, and we'll see what we can get as an answer for that from one of our amazing medical professionals. And then we have another question wanting to know, what is next week's lineup? And Monday we will be having Dr. Randy Shannon. Thursday we'll be having Michelle Wallach, the COO of Longevity. Of course, Friday we will be having Pharmacist Ben, and I feel like I'm missing somebody because I don't have my sheet up with me. So Ruth Ellen or AJ, if you have that up, easy to find, that would be fantastic. Say thank you so much to my co-hosts as they help keep this show running smoothly. I couldn't do it without them. Absolutely could not do it without my team. And that's where we use what's called advanced team building in this business, where we are providing our talents and putting them all together to make something bigger than what we could do ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's absolutely fantastic. So that is the lineup, correct?
Yes, it is. Dr. Randy Shannon on Monday, Michelle on Thursday, and Pharmacist Ben on Friday. And we will revisit 2 previously recorded shows on the other days.
Yep. So on Tuesday and Wednesday, we're going to revisit some days of the past of shows that we have provided with recorded with Dr. Wallach. So we're going to keep that alive. Thank you so much, everybody. Albert, thank you so much for helping let people in and keeping an eye on those cameras. We had an amazing show today. And Marilyn, folks, if you're out watching on the replay or watching out on one of the platforms, you're not seeing the chat that is here in the live Zoom, which you're invited to Monday through, well, whatever days we have. I've got to get that right. But DailywithDocZoom.com, DailywithDocZoom.com on the days that we're having shows from 12 to 1 p.m. Pacific time. Marilyn does a fantastic job putting the dictation into the chat so people can see it firsthand, black and white. And Anne just put in here, the chat is one of my favorite parts. So thank you so much, Anne, for that, because she does do a fabulous job. And then we have AJ, the Assistant Executive Production Manager, who has helped get us out on all of these different platforms, getting us connected with the accounts, getting the streams going, getting the loads for the things that don't load automatically. He's doing that manually. So I just want to say thank you, AJ, for all of your work and dedication, coming from a totally unrelated field, but having that passion for sports and nutrition and bringing that into our team as well. So thank you, AJ, for that. And then Ruth Ellen Sanchez, who is absolutely fantastic as my executive production manager, who keeps me in line, keeps me straight, keeps me organized, and also keeps me from going crazy sometimes. So thank you so much, Ruth Ellen, as she takes a lot of the things that I would have had to do all on my own. I can share those with you as well. And then for those that are not with us as part of our co-host team, I want to say thank you for them and the time that they're able to share with us. And then I have a great team overall. When you have a heart to bless people, you get blessings. And it's hard to comprehend and understand sometimes how you deserve the blessings. But folks, my heart is coming at this with, pure heart. I found amazing results. I found health with the teachings of Dr. Wallach. And all I want to do is share what I have found. And I have been so blessed in being able to do that through this program, through other programs, and through an amazing team within Longevity that are helping to do that as well, because they have found results as well. So folks, if you're looking for something that you can do that gives you something positive to focus on, something that is giving back to society and helping to encourage, to nourish, and just give that foundation that allows people to be able to function better, whether it's physically, mentally, emotionally. Folks, if you don't have your physical health, your mental health, your emotional health, it's more difficult to enjoy that financial health. And for many of us, we've been able to find that financial health as well. So get back with the person that shared this program with you. If there's nobody to thank, please reach out to us here on the Daily with Doc team. Use our phone number, 855-949-3377, or go to our website, DailywithDoc.com. Use that contact option and send us an email with that you would like to share in building our community. You have been watching Daily with Doc. My name is Becca Dukes. And again, it is my honor and privilege to bring this program to you that is meant for educational purposes only. It's not meant to take the place of your primary care physician, nor have the information been verified by the FDA. My personal thought, there's so many things out there that the FDA has approved that has then had to recall and pay out high sums because it wasn't as safe as they thought it was. Folks, your body's nutrient deficient, not chemical deficient. Give the body the opportunity to do what it was designed to do. Until Monday, have a fabulous weekend, folks.